Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is going to be all about loving on white people in America. So I've been dabbling with changes to the studio, and I have different equipment that I'm going to be trying out that I've had sitting around for a long time. I was looking around YouTube and see what are ways that people are really impressing others. And I noticed that they all have shelves behind them with toys. Hello, it's me, Mario. So I don't have any toys myself because my brothers and I were kind of wild as kids, and we took all of our He-Man, G.I. Joes, Transformers, and everything else, and we put fireworks, like firecrackers and M80s and blockbusters and stuff like that, inside their joints and blew them to smithereens. And a lot of my friends were just D-bags, and so a bunch of them got stolen. And so I have no toys from my childhood. And I noticed that a way to appeal to others in your background is to have cubby shelves with toys on them. So I can just go into my son's room and I can steal all his toys. See, I went and stole Mario. And I also set a screen in the back there so you guys could have something better to look at and different to look at besides my goofy face. And what I'm going to be doing, I've been fishing through all of my old equipment, and I have a bunch of studio mics that I used to use for playing music. That's one of them. I'm going to be trying that one. It's a condenser mic that requires phantom power. And then the one I'm using here is a USB and XLR mic. So you can see I have an XLR cable coming out of the back, but this can also be USB. So there's some mics you can get that are hybrid, where you can have XLR or USB, direct USB. Then I got this guy. This is the one I've been using for years. It's the Blue Yeti. Then I've got a couple of these kind of studio mics as well. This one is an AKG XLR. I even have the old Snowball. And there's still some people using this mic because it's really good for the, I guess the ASMR. Where they go. So I'm going to be updating the studio and equipment. And before I get to loving on white people and America, I just wanted to offer anyone that wants to have a civil debate on video conference. Perhaps you disagree with any of the topics that I discuss or things that I claim. Maybe you think I'm silly and you want to debate me and shut me down, make me look stupid in front of everybody. That would be awesome. And those are the most entertaining videos, when we have differences of opinion and people discussing those differences and hashing it out. Now, I don't bite. I'm not aggressive, but I am direct and unfiltered. So I just wanted to throw that out there, an invite for anybody that would like to debate. And I don't have a lot of experience doing video conferencing, but what I'm going to do is practice with some people in my personal life and see how it works out, and recording it. Now, I know this microphone might sound like crap, but I'm going to be experimenting with different mics over the next few weeks. And I might even do a video of a microphone breakdown, because I have this thing too, which is it's a lapel mic, like the newscasters wear, where they just have it hanging on their lapel. And that might be the best one I have. I don't know. I haven't tried it out yet. But it's been sitting in this box for about 5 years, and I've never even tried it. Okay, now I would like to talk about white people and America. I love America, and I love white people. And I don't love white people more than I love other people, but I definitely prefer to live among white people. And my ancestry is all kind of different things. I have Arab, European, Native American. So I am a complete mutt. And the same goes for the religious background of my parents and grandparents, a very diverse religious background there, or spiritual background, if you want to call it that. So I noticed that whites get so unfairly demonized and hated that I wanted to come out and make a video just saying I love you guys. And, you know, if there's a race war that pops off, I'm going to get kicked onto your side anyway because people can't tell if I'm Greek, Italian, some kind of Mediterranean. They're just going to lump me with the white people. And then, so I'm going to have to fight alongside with you guys against whoever wants to destroy the whites. So, you know, even though I'm not exactly white, maybe as white as some of you guys, which is a beautiful thing, and you should cherish that and honor yourselves and your ancestors. Your ancestors were the first to abolish slavery almost worldwide, and they had to have a lot of bloody battles in order to accomplish that goal of abolishing slavery. And maybe there were some other motives there, but ultimately the Europeans were the ones that abolished slavery for the modern world. And your ancestors also seem to be really, really good at structuring societies to be not too strict, but not too loose. There's a law and order there that is stellar. It's exceptional. The white Europeans' ability to structure laws and order in a society. And that's why so many people of so many different cultures and races are flocking to you. And the data proves that. People flock to you in unprecedented numbers throughout history. Your countries were engineered by your ancestors so wonderfully that people are running screaming from their failed cultures into the open arms of your culture. So you should really love yourself and cherish yourself and honor yourself. Also, I'd like you to take a look at other countries and be realistic about what you see. Do you see anybody clawing and climbing and swimming to get to China? Do you see massive migration waves into China? Do you see any massive migration waves into the Middle East? Do you see any massive migration waves into anywhere else but European Foundation nations? No, you don't. There are some people moving around to those places, but not at the scale that they come to your places that your ancestors engineered and made order in. And you also have the largest population of black or non-white people in history that are rich. That's never happened before in anywhere near modern history. And even in the ancient world, it's hard to find places that were so accepting and diverse. Now, in the modern world, look at China. Do you really think China wants to have a cultural diversity forming within their country? Does it look like the Middle East would love a cultural diversity? No. They squash those things when they do rise up. They squash them and destroy them so they can remain homogenous. And that's what's beautiful about the white people in America, Canada, and a bunch of other countries, that you guys are really letting your countries get destroyed. This is my country too, and I don't want to see it get destroyed. I'm a red-blooded American, no matter what nationality I have or where my grandparents came from. And I would fight to protect the sovereignty of this nation. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a whole lot of you that do love yourselves and you love your ancestors, but what I see is that you kind of split down the middle, where half of you are, or half of Americans, I should say, no matter what the color they are or culture they come from, half of Americans hate America. There's so much hate here, but yet they won't leave. They have the freedom to walk right out the door, and they have the financing to be very well off in other countries if they go there, because the cost of living is so cheap. They can go there right away, buy a mansion, and live well. But they know better. They know that this is the greatest nation on earth, and they would never leave it. They'll even make threats like, oh, I'm going to move to Canada if so-and-so becomes president. And they never do. They never make good on that promise. It's all a bunch of crap. They're all lying. There's nowhere else on God's green earth that these people would want to live. They want to live with you because you're awesome. And I'm not saying you're better than anybody else. And I'm not saying anybody else is worse. But everybody's different. Every culture is different. Every race is different. Humans are not built equal. And even from one individual to the next, we're not built equal. And what I think is that we should preserve the differences in people. For instance, if everybody just gets together and racially blends, there's not going to be these peaks and valleys that make human life interesting and exciting. It's just going to become one gray, boring beehive or herd mentality where I think it's best to have the originals still around instead of wiping the originals out and replacing them with some kind of hybrids. Because what's wrong with having the originals around? Just imagine if we had the first kind of people still around. We probably lost them, I don't know how many thousands of years ago. The original human, which we are now a hybrid of. So I just wanted to come out and say I love white people. And there's 1,000 things throughout history. For instance, us teaching that the first colonist in the United States to own a chattel slave lifelong was a black man who was from Angola. He was very successful in the earliest days of America, and he imported so many more black people. Why don't we teach black people that? How many of you, since learning that from my channel, have taught others that? I hope a lot of you have. But I'm not going to be surprised if you just stay hush-hush about it, because I don't know why. There's something you shouldn't stay hush-hush about. There's so many lies about early America, slavery, and all this nonsense that demonizes white people in order to bring about their destruction and the destruction of the nations that they engineered, or the nations that your ancestors engineered. So I just wanted to let you know I love you, even though not many people express love towards you directly and publicly like this. I want to be one of the few and the first to come out and say, I love you guys. And I also love your ancestors. I actually love your ancestors and respect and honor your ancestors more than I do you modern versions, because your ancestors were more strong and honorable than you are. And I'm not saying all of you, but you guys are split down the middle right now, where half of you are full of hate for yourselves and everything else, and then half of you are patriots who really understand what's going on. So don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk down to the white people or anything. It's just that half of you are lost, and we need to get that half back to the flock and back to reality by teaching them the truth. Let's teach them some history. Let's get these people out of this depression, out of this hopelessness, and out of this funk that they're in. And it's going to take us patriots to do that. I love this country. I love the country that your ancestors engineered. And the Constitution is a thing of, it's a magical thing. It's almost a miracle that these men were able to create a thing that guarantees people freedom. And you can see on one side of the aisle how it's getting chipped away at. They don't like the First Amendment. They don't like the Second Amendment. And I might even do a video really soon about how they hate almost the entire Constitution. They hate the entire country. They just hate. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel the hate, the lack of love? And everything that they do love is criminal. They only love the things that will destroy this country. They don't love the things that make this country great and beautiful, and they've been misled. So I just wanted to come out and say, I love America, I love white people, and if I could scoop you all up and give you a great big hug, I would. And I live among white people. I look a little bit different than them, Not too much. I could pretty much blend in as a redneck where I live, but they can tell there's something off about the way I look. And my nose is a little crooked, you know? Uh, it's a little schnozzy, especially I turn to the side. I got a like a Roman. I have like a Roman schnoz or Dick Tracy nose, where it's just. But I just wanted to let you know I love you. And you probably don't hear it enough. And I see a lot of white people that are hopeless. They're getting depressed. But, try to find some joy in being you and loving your ancestry and loving the history that engineered the most attractive nations in the world. Well done to you and your ancestors. Keep up the fine work.